Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by Northeastern women's hockey player Annie FitzGerald. Welcome to the podcast, Annie, and how's everything going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Now, how's your off season going, and have you done anything interesting, whether it's hockey or non-hockey related?
Yeah, it's going well. It's nice to be home. I only got to get home once this year on Thanksgiving, so it was a long year. Just kind of been spending as much time, with family and friends while I can. Hockey, skating, working out every day. So that's kind of, nothing too exciting, but yeah.
hmm And how's your training going, and what are you working on regarding your game for next year?
It's going really well, actually. So usually I'll train in Cape Cod with a friend from Wisconsin. And like I said, just because I didn't get to get home much this year, I thought it'd be best to find something local for the summer. So I've been working with two ex-pro guys, Russ Sinkowicz and Jake Newton, and they're really awesome coaches. And they just are kind of trying to grow hockey and Cleveland, so they do one-on-one stuff, and then they'll have skates in the morning, and it's nice because it's just a lot of ice for me to hop on, so that's been good. And then I got set up at a really cool gym, so it's my first time working with both these places, and it's super exciting, getting to do something local because there's not always a ton going on here. So yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. And how's the Cleveland hockey scene like? What's it like being a player there? Because I know they have the AHL team that's there, and I know that there's a lot of players coming out of Ohio playing college hockey. So, what's it like being a part of that hockey scene and helping it grow?
You know what? It's funny because I feel like it's funny that you say there's a lot of people coming out of here because I feel like there isn't, I feel like it's just been it's not a super popular spot, in comparison to places like Minnesota or Massachusetts. And so especially being a girl, there's not a ton going on, but the people that are coming out of Cleveland, those, it's kind of nice because we all kind of skated one area because there's such a small group. And so getting to play with all these different levels of players is just, it's super cool. So there's a lot of people that have been awesome that I've been working with, like I've said. So yeah, not a lot going on, but what is here is pretty cool.
Now, what's one area of your game you're hoping to improve on the most during this off season?
Um, Honestly, a few different things. Physically, I think just getting stronger. I had an injury this year, and I think that I really, for the first time, got to understand the importance of taking care of myself, physically, and better preparation and recovery and stuff like that. So, and then I think that will really translate into my game, just shooting, having a harder shot, getting a quicker shot, and then mentally just kind of working to build my confidence so that when that shot opportunity presents itself, that's something that I'm ready to, because I just feel like I've lacked confidence in my game in the past. So I think like definitely confidence.
Yeah, no, confidence is part of a game that I think a lot of players don't consider how
Yeah.
important it is because it's easy to lose confidence, but it's so hard to gain confidence, especially throughout a hockey season. So that's something that's very important to work on during an off season. And how do you try to gain confidence during an off season?
I think it just I said, taking better care of myself so I know that I'm doing the right thing. So it's just whatever I can give, that's it. And just knowing that I'm doing the best that I possibly can. And you know, better self-talk and stuff like that. Just instead of getting frustrated and whatnot, I'm just more focused on getting better and not afraid to make mistakes, especially I said with this small group. It's just you become okay with making those mistakes and you get better, and there's other people around you to push you to make you better too. So yeah, and I think also a lot of it will come when games start, just because it's such a game situation, that confidence, whether it's there or not. So that's also just a piece of it that's going to have to come later.
Yeah, and have you faced any challenges during this offseason dealing with the injury, like you just said, and also maybe with some restrictions still going around because of the pandemic, with ice being hard to find in certain areas and gyms being closed in certain areas as well?
Honestly, I was able to get ice right when I got back home, and like I said, I got into the gym, so I haven't had any issues in that regard. As for like the injury, I've been like recovered for a few months now, so it's just kind of slowly getting back into shape, so I'm ready for preseason.
Now, one thing from last offseason that is different from this offseason was you have a little more certainty when the season's going to begin. Does that change your approach at all for this offseason at all, kind of knowing that we're it's pretty certain that the season's going to start in October, not like last year where you had no idea if it was going to start in January or December?
Yeah, so just being ready as I can, like whether it starts in October, December, which whenever it is, last year like all the like our coaches constantly told us, captains, people on the team constantly saying like, like we have to be prepared as if we're gonna play, and whether that's like today or next week or the week after that, like we have to maintain that same readiness. Because I think also like having those games get canceled and kind of having to like it's like exhausting a little bit, like getting yourself ready and then it's just kind of like, okay, you're not playing, and then it's like back to practice and it gets repetitive. But I think that like adversity really helped us grow as a team, because I just think like we were just constantly ready to go at any point, and we were ready for like anything that was unpredictable.
Yeah, and you also didn't know who you were going to play too, which I feel like is probably the worst part of that whole. Because Hockey East, like they didn't announce the schedule until like the Tuesday before the weekend happened. So how'd you like try to prepare for opponents when you didn't even know who you're going to play?
Right. So we would, I mean, the second they found out who we were playing, like our coaches and our staff are so good. They were right on it with like film and even like individual stuff, and like just making sure to have everything ready, like the pregame scout and stuff like that was all ready for us. So they were really on top of it, which we're lucky to have them to do that. Because they kept it pretty organized. So we were like kind of worried a few days, but it's just like no matter who we're playing, no matter when we're playing, we just have to be ready, and like having that confidence in ourselves as a team that no matter who we're facing or when, like we're gonna bring what we can to the table.
So let's transition a little bit and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and work all the way up to where you are now with Northeastern. So you're from Ohio, like you just said. How'd you start playing hockey and what made you fall in love with the sport?
So my dad grew up in Cleveland as well. Same with my mom, and my dad played at a small like skating club. It's called the Cleveland Skating Club, and so it's just was like a Cleveland suburban hockey league rink. And so he played there growing up, and then he played in high school, and then he played like D3 on the East Coast, and he was never like he wasn't like gonna be like a pro or anything like that, but he loved the game so much. And so I have four brothers, and so he got it. We all played at one point, and he was getting us like all into it. Like I was on skates by like probably like 4 years old, and so I actually started figure skating first, which is just like I can't even like imagine that I did that. But and then I saw my brothers like playing hockey. My mom was like, "You got to pick one, like figure skating or hockey." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go with hockey." So I'm actually like my youngest brother's was a freshman in high school this year, and he's just gonna play like varsity at his high school. But I'm kind of like the only one that's really stuck with it. So yeah.
Having four brothers, was there any sibling rivalry that happened when you guys played hockey together? Whether it was like during a practice or maybe when you guys did pond hockey as well, if you guys did that growing up.
Oh yeah, all the time. It always ended in a fight of some sort. like it we like my brothers were all too far apart in age to have like played like with or against one another, but like as a family and stuff like that, like it got pretty competitive.
Do you have any funny stories about like when you maybe beat one of your brothers in a hockey game or something like that, and then it might have escalated after the game as well?
Um There's probably so many. Like, it's just I try to block those things out of it. But yeah, like I mean, nothing like specific. It's just like it would always turn into something. It was just like like a fun game, and then we're all super competitive. So then it would just turn into something that it didn't need to be. There's been silent car rides home from like a pickup game. It's just
Hmm.
yeah, it's ridiculous. But I can't think of anything specific. But I'm sure there's a lot of stories if I really thought of that.
Now, who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone in the NHL or was it a female player from the national team?
Um, so there was always like Patrick Kane, just that kind of like made me love the game even more. It's like I wasn't seeing anyone do anything like that, and then it kind of like inspires you a little bit. So you're like, oh my gosh, how did he do that? And then you want to go out and try it, and like he kind of like that's how kind of how I saw him. And then also Kelly Stack, she's from Cleveland too, so it was really cool to like grow up watching her and kind of have that as like someone to look up to. And it's like I said, like there wasn't a lot, especially girls, like at that time were not coming out of Cleveland. So like to have her like come right from like where I'm from, I'm just like, that's crazy. Like that's so cool. Like it's
Hmm.
possible.
Have you had the chance to meet her at all since
No,
you
I
both are from
haven't
the same
actually.
area? Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. And a question on Patrick Kane. Have you ever tried one of his shootout moves in a practice or during a game? Because my favorite shootout move of all time is the one where he does the serpentine route and then he just dangles like right in front of the goalie and
Right.
then picks it top shelf. Have you ever tried that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried a few of them. I wouldn't say I'm like successful, but I've definitely like played around that. I'll always watch like the YouTube videos of like the
Hmm.
montage. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta try that. But like, yeah, no, I've definitely tried some of those.
Do you think, yeah, he's the best American-born player of all time because just what he's accomplished in the NHL and then obviously what he's done with Team USA is pretty cool to see. I don't know. I just feel like he's probably the best American player of all time. I want to get your perspective on that.
um, I don't want to be controversial on here, but I don't know if he's like the best. I would say, but I don't know. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. I gotta. He's my favorite. I'll say, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think Austin Matthews definitely has the chance to potentially
Right,
beat
right.
Patrick
But he
Kane.
like came a little bit later, so
Yeah, you
right,
just have to wait a few years for that. But I think he definitely has a chance if he wins the cup with Toronto and wins a gold medal for Team USA in the Olympics coming up if they allow NHL players.
right.
Now, were you a big Rick Nash fan growing up? Because that's from talking to players who are from Ohio, that's kind of like the big figure from Ohio, just because he played with Columbus for so many years and he kind of was a big player from that state. Well, what he did with Columbus as well.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like a big like fan, not also like not a fan. Like I didn't. It's funny because I don't really follow Columbus. I mean, like I see it, but like I'm not like it's not that's not like the first game I want to watch. I feel like sometimes obligated to like root for them because it's Ohio, but it's just like it's not the same. Columbus is very different from Cleveland. But yeah.
How far away is it from Cleveland? I'm just curious.
Um, it's about 3 hours.
Oh, wow, that's kind of a drive. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I can see that
yeah,
then.
3, I think. Yeah.
Now, before you played at Northeastern, you played at Gilmore Academy. Just how'd you get the opportunity to go to that school and play hockey there?
So I had played boys up until Pee Wees, and I was actually playing at the same like skating club. So it was just this Cleveland Suburban Hockey League. It was all boys. There was like a one or two girls that were on my team at some point, but like most of my time there, I was the only girl on the team. My dad was my coach, and I when I hit that age where hitting came, my parents were like, you're not like playing. Like I was way too small. Like I grew way later in high school, but I was way too small to hit, and so I was I wanted to like go away to like boarding school. My parents like, no, like I don't think so. Like we want you to stay home, which I'm so glad that they did that. But so Gilmore, the head coach at the time, had reached out and just like he had like a daughter who played like in Cleveland Suburban Hockey League too, and he like reached out and said that if I were to transfer, because I was at like a local Catholic school that my parents also went to, they said if I were to transfer to like the middle school of Gilmore, then I could start practicing with the prep team and then play with the prep team in 8th grade. So my parents like, do this. This was one of like the only other team at this point in Ohio was well, now there's Barons for like U18 stuff, but there was Columbus, the Blue Jackets. Yeah, I think they're just Columbus Blue Jackets, but they folded. So like Gilmore was like the only girls team really left. So I went there. I left my other school in 7th grade and then started practicing with them, playing on the prep team in 8th grade. And then I think it was a sophomore when I was able to play the U19 because you have to like be a certain age for USA. So yeah.
And talk about your experience at Gilmore and what did you take away from your time there?
Um, it was an interesting experience. I there's a lot of things that I loved about it, and there's a lot of things that I think like frustrated me about it. Like one of the frustrating things, but it's also like a good thing. Like there's good sides to it too. Like I had like every single year we had like a coach change, or I think I had 3 or 4 different sets of coaches in my time there. And so it was really hard, like for the first year, like you can't expect them to come in and have everything organized. So it's almost like we were there for these 3 like first years of like coaches. And it's like, there's nothing like, there wasn't a lot that was like established because that person wasn't there for long enough. There was always issues and there was a new coach. So I think that was like super distracting, but it also gave me a lot of different perspectives on the game because of a bunch of different coaches that I had, which is something that I can take away from that. But at the same time, for like the team's sake, or like, playing like as a team and stuff like that, I think it made it tough. But my sophomore year was the first year that we won district as like a program, won districts and went to the national tournament. And like being able to be a part of that was super cool. And just for like a program first. And so that like felt really awesome to be part of. And it felt like, we were finally like getting our name out there. And so like, yeah, it was, I did like love it, but there were a lot of things going on there too. So.
Yeah, why was there so many coaching changes when you were there?
It was like the first coach left to get another job. There was a lot of like new job opportunities, like some like internal issues with the coaches. Nothing like too serious, but it just like a lot of coaches just like weren't working out. They didn't fit like what, the other people at Gilmore wanted. So I think that was just part of it. We don't know a lot of the details, but it was, like I said, it was tough to like really get the program going with that happening. So
Being part of the Gilmore Academy's first team that won districts, how did that make you feel, and how did that kind of boost your confidence heading into your next year out with Gilmore? Because I think that's a really cool accomplishment, especially to have at such a young age in high school.
Yeah, it felt really good. Like that team that year, I think was my favorite team that we had there. It's just like everyone that was on that team like wanted to be there, like when I was in 8th grade, like a lot of these girls, like they weren't serious about hockey. Like it wasn't a very serious program, and they just played in the prep league and it was like, oh, we lost, it's fine, blah blah. It's like they had other priorities as well. And it's like I feel like that year was like every single girl on that team was like really really committed to being on that team. And I think like that's why we did so well. Like we didn't have the best players in the nation on our team, and it's like we also like won districts. I'm not saying we won like a national championship, but we didn't have like a super deep team. And I think we actually had like 11 skaters that year. Like it was such like a miracle year that it like worked out. So that like I said, it got our name out there. And then like I would go to camps, be like, oh, I know what Gilmore is, that was nice. It's like finally like people kind of like know what it is. And it brought, I think, a lot of attention and got some more girls to be interested in the school.
You then went on to play in the PWHL for the Toronto Arrows. How'd you get the opportunity to go to Canada and play for that team, and what led to that transition from Gilmore to Toronto?
So my senior year at Gilmore, I actually moved to Minnesota for like a month. I thought that I wanted to play in Minnesota. There was a coach there that was close with the Northeastern coaches. I was already like committed to Northeastern, and like thought this would be they wanted me to be coached under him, Brent Culleton. And like so that was kind of like my route I was going to do and stay there for 2 years, because I had already had a gap. All right. when I committed to Northeastern, they gave me the choice of committing in 2019 or 2020, and I felt that Gilmore wasn't preparing me enough at that point in time for college, just because of the league that we were playing in. It wasn't super competitive. I didn't feel like I was getting the most out of it there. So that's kind of why I initially gave myself that extra year, and then went to Minnesota. And then Minnesota didn't end up working out, so I came home after about a month and a half, and I went back to Gilmore, and I had to find another place to play that next year. So they reached I had a few friends that had played on the team before, and so I kind of got in contact with the coaches, and they had me. So it worked out very well.
Yeah, and so you're a 2019 graduate, not 2020.
Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2019, and then I took that extra year in Toronto.
Oh, okay. And just talk about your experience in the PWHL and what was your favorite memory you've ever had there? Because Toronto is one of my favorite cities besides Boston to visit. I've only been there one time, but it's really cool.
Yeah, so the PWHL was awesome. My team itself and my coaches were really awesome, and just that whole it's like a whole other world there. And there was only allowed 2 Americans on every team, so it was me and another girl from Buffalo, and she's actually going to Northeastern this next year. She's coming in, and so we were the only 2 on that team. It was just a whole new experience for us, and just meeting a lot of the girls, and just how they grew up playing in this similar league their whole life. And the team was super disciplined, and it was very organized, and it was a lot more structured than I felt Gilmore was. And I think that really helped prepare me for college, because like I said, it gave a lot more structure, and it made me I feel like anything kind of went sometimes at Gilmore, and it was just like I said, there wasn't as many people that were really this is very important, this is my top priority. And so there it felt like that was the top priority, and I wasn't going to school at the time, so that was everything that I was doing. I was playing, and then I was working, and so yeah, it was a really awesome experience.
And that was one of the first time you're playing with a lot of D1 commits as well. How did that help prepare you for college hockey when you were with Toronto?
Yeah, so at Gilmore, I kind of felt there was a lot of pressure on myself to do a lot for the team on my own. And so at first the transition to Toronto was actually pretty tough, because I was feeling I have to learn to trust my teammates, learn to play with other people. I would go from Gilmore to some of these development camps, and I would feel so out of place, because I'm skill wise and drills and stuff I could keep up, but then when it got to the game, I just I'd kind of break down. I'm this is I can't make the right play, because I'm not used to having to make the right, so that I feel Toronto, being able to play with these really, really good players who kind of understand that level, and what it takes to get to that level, that was kind of a turning point in my game. And I think I made a lot of shifts on who I am on the ice, and my role on the ice, learning to play with better players. So I think it really helped me. I think it was really important that I had that experience before going to Northeastern.
Yeah, and talking to some other players who play in the PWHL, is the style of play in Canada a little bit different than the style of play here in the U.S., or is it kind of the same since you're playing against Canadian and American players in that league?
Yeah, it's similar. There were some differences, and I think a lot of it, I wouldn't I don't know if I could gauge it based on Canada versus the US, because I think a lot had to do with each team specifically. A lot of this was just new for me, because I was on a brand new team. I'd been on the same team for the past 5-6 years. So I think that was just there was a lot of new things just because of that change for myself. But I guess I wouldn't be able to say there was really things that stood out to me that were different from the US and Canada, other than net guards. I hated wearing net guards. That's not anything to do with style of play, but yeah.
Now, talk about your recruitment process. Take me back to when you were getting recruited by Northeastern. What was that process like for yourself? What made you want to go to Northeastern versus other schools you might have looked at?
So I was considered a late commit, and I had committed going into my junior year of high school, and I had I went all the way to some Minnesota schools, all the way like all down the East Coast of schools. I looked at Ohio State, like some in the Midwest, and like I knew I wanted to go to Boston. Like that had kind of been my thing ever since I realized like I could have an opportunity to play college hockey. I was like, I want to be in Boston. Like that just like seems like the city I want to play in. And so like I was really drawn to Boston, and then like Northeastern stuck out to me just because of like it's so good academically, and it was like a growing program like for hockey. And so I just felt like I've been able to like ever since I committed and like knew this is where I was going to go to school. Obviously, I've been like following them and like seeing their growth as a team, and then being able to step into that team like the year that they make it for the first time ever. It's like a national championship game was really, really, really cool. And it's like obviously not as rewarding yet for myself because I wasn't there for the rest of it. But like those older girls on the team, like they are like as our leaders, like they knew what it took to get this team where it is. And I think that like holds a lot of us accountable, because it's like we're walking in and we're number one all year, like this is cool, but they keep us in place to like the only reason we're here is because of this and this, right? And like that's what makes this team so good.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you like try to maintain that success throughout the regular season, being the number one ranked team? Because obviously there's a huge target on your team's back when you have that ranking.
Yeah, I think it it was just about like it was really hard, like especially as a freshman, to like meet people and get close to the team right away. But it was a lot of just like it took a lot of discipline, and it took a lot of learning, especially like for myself, to like understand what it meant to be a part of this team. And like I feel like our captains and our coaches did everything they could to make sure that everyone knew what it meant to be part of this team, and like everyone bought into that. And so that's what made us so successful, is that there wasn't like everyone was understanding their role, and everyone was doing what they needed to do in their position, and they respected other people's roles on the team. And I think like us like all buying into that as a team, like it just made us really like unstoppable. And so like especially when we got our confidence built up and we're going, game after game after game, we're winning, like that does a lot for a team. Like that builds a lot of confidence in a team and like in each other as players. And so yeah, I think the combination of those two is what really made us successful this year.
Now, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it kind of the speed of the game since you're going against players that are a lot older than you are, or was it kind of the physicality since a lot of the players that are older than you are know how to – I guess like the big thing I hear is like the puck battles and the board battles are something that's a huge adjustment for new players coming in, and especially since you're going against older players. It's kind of hard to adapt to that.
Right. Like that was definitely tough coming in. Um, like you said, that physicality. And so it was kind of something that we had to get used to quick. And I think I wouldn't say that was my biggest issue. I honestly think my biggest challenge coming in would be the same kind of issues I faced when I started at Toronto. It's just like a whole different level of play. It's you have those really old girls that have been here for a while. You've like Olympic players, like things like that. It's like these are the best girls in the country, and like you are playing with and against them, and it's like that like was very nerve-wracking for me. And so I think a lot of the times like my biggest challenge was like my nerves would get the best of me, and I would like make a play, and like in my head I'm like, not to do that, like that's not like the right play, like you knew you should have made it quicker, like that's going through my mind. But like I couldn't, like I was too anxious. And so like that's also why I focused a lot on building that confidence this summer, so that like I don't let those nerves really like take over.
Yeah, what's it like playing in the Hockey's conference, and just talk about some of the competition you get to play every weekend?
So I mean, I actually only played 9 games this year, so I got hurt in that ninth game. And so like obviously watching is like a whole other side of it too, but like playing these teams in general, it's like I've been watching these games for for years now. And so it's just like playing in it, it's like it's just so fast. And that's like another reason like which like drove me to Boston was Hockey East, because I think like the competitiveness of the league, and obviously being pods, like whatever, like things like that, where it's just like there's all this excitement around the game and like the competition. And it's always like there were a lot of good close games, and so like that's what makes it exciting. Like I don't want to go and like blow out a team. Like that's not fun, you know. So I think like the competitiveness and like the good matchups in the Hockey East Conference are like just make for like a better game, more fun.
Now, thinking back to this past year, even though you only played 9 games, what do you think was the biggest improvement you made throughout the season?
Um, I would say my biggest improvement would have probably been um, like learning my role. I'm not sure if you mean physically or mentally, but like I said, being hurt, like the biggest improvement I think would have been that focus on like recovery and preparation, because like I wasn't able to go on the ice, so I was in the weight room every day doing rehab, and so that was really like that became like more of a priority for myself, because I'm always just like I want to get on the ice what matters, blah blah. I didn't like really, not that I didn't understand importance at all, but I was taking that like piece of it for granted. I wasn't like using as many of the resources as I could. And so I think that like I said, just preparing myself better and like recovering better was really important for me. And also just understanding like, you know, having to sit and watch in the stands was like tough, but like understanding about like this is like that's what it means to be part of this team. And so I think that was like my.
But one thing that did happen during your college hockey season when you were playing was you got your first college hockey goal against Maine. Just talk about that goal and who was the first person you called after you scored that?
That was like one of the best feelings ever. Like scoring a goal in general is already such an amazing feeling, but just like I've, you know, been looking forward to this for so long, and this has kind of been like my end game in a way. You know, it's like always just like college, 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 and it's like being able like to experience that like was really awesome. And it's actually funny, everyone makes fun of me for my like post-game interview. It's like terrible. I'm like, I don't even know what happened. I like blacked out, I forgot it. And it was just like I sounded like terrible, but yeah, it was a crazy feeling. And like just going down the line and like seeing like my roommate, one of my roommates, Abby, she's just kind of like your number one like supporter always. And it just like I could literally see her face like immediately, and like she was just like so excited. And that was like really awesome to like, you know, like have that support from my teammates, especially the girls in my class. And so after the first one I called was probably my dad, and like I think my mom said that he was crying, so he was like, it was really a cool moment for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you get to keep the puck?
I didn't like, I thought I would be able to because I see everyone gets to keep their puck, but I didn't get to keep it. I don't know, I never got it.
That's
But
weird. I feel like they
I
always do
know,
that for every first college. They let you take a photo with it too. So that's
I
definitely weird.
know.
We should start a campaign to try to find that puck.
I
And
know. I think because other girls, I think on our team who did like got their puck. I don't know. Just
hmm
not paying for it. Whatever.
well, if someone from Northeastern women's hockey that's listening to this podcast find a way to get Annie her puck that she's scored her first goal, and I think she would appreciate that, and I would appreciate that too. I feel like you deserve to at least keep that memory, I guess. Now, Now, something that was introduced to college hockey this past year was 3-on-3 overtime. As a fan, they're very fun to watch, but as a player, what's it like to be a part of them? And what was it like for yourself getting to watch the 3-on-3 overtimes that your team was a part of as well during the regular season?
Well, yeah, obviously practicing them was also super competitive. So that was really fun. Obviously not the same as playing it in the game, but like watching it was really cool. It's like, it's crazy how creative like some people can get. And it's like, it's super fast, like back and forth. And it's like, especially like watching the stands, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like going one way and then it's going the other way so quick. And it's like, it's really fun to watch, especially like I said, the creativity is just like, that's like my favorite part. And like some girls on our team were just like so creative and
hmm
so good. Really fun players to watch.
Yeah, seeing Alina Mueller in those 3-on-3
I know, that's who I'm
situations.
talking about.
When she has that time and space, it's pretty much a guaranteed goal.
So
So that was fun to watch from a fan perspective.
yeah.
You have to be a little more defensively minded in those overtime situations because if you make one little defensive mistake, it can cause an odd man rush for the other team and you lose possession as well. And that's kind of the key for those 3-on-3 overtimes is possession of the puck.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of pressure there, and I think that's like, the coaches know who those players are who can take care of that on both ends, and the rest of the team trusts them too. So definitely those people that can be both very strong defensively and offensively are really key players for those moments.
Now, how did you handle not playing in front of any fans this past year? And was it weird not having that crowd noise? And watching your team play, something I noticed was how your team brought the energy on the bench whenever there was a block shot or another good play. Your bench went absolutely crazy. So was it cool to was that something your team preached in the locker room before like the season started? Was like bring that energy on the bench since we won't have it in the crowd.
Definitely, definitely. Like, I mean, I can't really say because I've never played in front of a crowd, so it wasn't too different for me. Like, that this would have been the first time that I played in front of fans outside of like family. So I mean, it didn't make like such a big difference for me. If I had been there like a year before, I think there definitely would have been like some shift there. But I mean, the internal energy within the team was like it was like above and beyond that. It was as if we were having that same energy coming from a crowd, and there was a lot of like energy stemming from like the warm ups, the locker room before the game, locker room in between like periods. Like there's always like those people that will bring the energy up, and like that's really important. And people are always talking on the bench, and like that was never an issue for us. There was always a lot of like really good energy, and I think again that was part of us being really successful.
Yeah, that was one cool thing to watch without any fans. I guess the one caveat to it, even though I prefer having fans in the stands like everyone else does, but one caveat to not having any fans in the stands was hearing the communication that happened on the ice, which I thought was pretty cool to hear from a fan perspective since you don't get that every day when you watch hockey.
Yeah, and they're always like playing music in between like the shifts, and like girls are always dancing on the bench, and it's just
Mhm.
like it keeps it really like fun and exciting.
Now, do you think that will be an adjustment for yourself next season? Playing in front of a full house, I would assume, just because your team had such a great run this past year, you're going to get a lot of new fans to the stadium this next year, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely gonna be a big change. Like I feel like it's gonna feel really weird for me because like I said, I've never like had that opportunity before, but I think at first I'll be like really nervous. But I think I don't know, I think it will bring like a whole new layer of like energy, and I'm really excited to see what that's like.
Now, your team won the Hockey East Championship this past year. Even though you weren't a part of any of those games that they played, how cool was it to kind of still be a part of the team and get to lift that trophy and see all your teammates win that championship heading into the national tournament?
That was really like an amazing feeling, especially those girls that had been the fourth year that they won it in a row. And so like being able to see like all the hard work that they put in was really like inspiring, and at least I know for the younger girls. And it was just a really really cool feeling. Like I have like the only thing that we've like won is like my districts, and there was just like a banner for that, like I've never had that like type of like win. And like I feel like we were on track in Toronto, and then of course the season got cut short. So like it's almost like it felt like this had been something like leading up, and like my past years too, where it's like, oh, I've been waiting like for something like this. And like even though I wasn't a part of it, like I knew that I like had done my part like for the team at one point on the ice, and then like I was still like doing my own thing in the workout room. And although that wasn't like directly affecting people on the ice, like it felt like it was just really rewarding for sure.
Yeah, is it hard, I guess? Obviously, it's very difficult not playing, but how do you like try to stay positive through all that, not being on the ice and trying to watch the team playing? How do you try to still stay involved with the team when you're not playing?
That was my biggest challenge because I've never been like in that position before where like I've had to watch, and like it took me, I mean, I was still like having issues with it like towards the end of the year too, like especially like seeing the rest of the girls in my class like being able to be on that ice for that national championship game. Like as happy as I was for this team, it like, like that small piece of me, it took a lot like for me to be able to like be there because I'm like, I hate being this person. And like, for most of it, like I that it was like so out of my control. And so like it took a lot of like understanding of like getting away from things that like I can't control, like trying to just control the things that I can't control. And so like I know I had a lot of people on my team, like reach out to me and like talk to me, and like knowing that they still like recognized me and stuff like that. And like it helped me feel more a part of the team, and just trying to like, again, take on that role the best of my ability. And like I said, it's definitely not something that was easy for me, and definitely something that I struggled with the entire time, but it just pushed me. It's like, I don't want to be that person, so you got to work harder so you're not that person when it's not like really your choice. It's like, so I think that was kind of like an eye opener for me, and it was challenging, but it taught me a lot.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. I've never had that experience before, but it's just something that's in the back of your head when you do see those players who don't get to play. It's like, how do they handle that? So that's cool. That's good that you had that mindset though during the season. And thinking about for this upcoming season, what are some of your goals and expectations for yourself and for your team after you're finally going to get to play your first game back with Northeastern for your sophomore year?
Um, I'm hoping to just come in ready to go, kind of like pick up where we left off as a team, and then like personally just, I've been working really hard this summer to make sure that I'm ready for the beginning of the year, and just kind of like making that like apparent to my teammates and coaches that like this is, what I've been working for, and hopefully like they'll recognize that too. And I think we're gonna have like a big roster, and so it's gonna come down to like who's working harder and who's like putting again like putting in more work. And so hopefully that hard work will pay off. And so I don't know, I hope that I get to experience more on the ice than I did last year, and I think that that's in the plan. So yeah.
Now, we're recording this in the summertime, so I just have to ask, when do you plan to head back to Boston, and when are you going to see your teammates again? Like, when does that whole training period start?
So we're kind of late. My move-in date is September 5th. So I'm gonna head back up there on the 5th. I can't like get into my dorm or anything before, but I know there's like a bunch of girls that are still up there. But like I said, I like where I'm skating right now, so I want to make sure to finish out those 2 weeks, because like I said, my coaches are really awesome, and I want to stick with them as long as I can. And then also my off ice stuff, I want to finish my training program there. So I'm probably just gonna wait it out until I move in on the 5th, and then get skating there, which will be exciting to see everyone again.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's probably the best part about back to school. Even though the academic part of it's like you kind of dread it a little bit because it's like, oh, I
Yeah,
got to do all these papers again. But
yeah,
it's cool seeing your friends and teammates back on the ice after a long off season. Which at least this is what it felt like for me. Felt like it was a long off season.
yeah, definitely.
Now, I want to ask you about some of your teammates. One teammate you get to play with is Skylar Fontaine. She's one of the best defensemen in college hockey. What's she like as a teammate, both on and off the ice?
Um, so Sky is kind of like one of the older girls on the team that kind of like took me under her wing right away. And so like we started to become like really good friends, like, and then like in the training room and on the ice, she's someone that like knows, when to help you out, constructively, and like will tell you, because she's been there, she has the experience and she shares that. But she also like keeps things really light, and she's like cracking jokes or laughing. And so she's like someone who's like really fun to be around. And like off the ice, like I said, like she's someone that she was like kind of looking after me, like being younger, and like her brother's in our class and I was friends with him too. So just like we go and get our nails done together and stuff like that. So I got to spend like a lot of time with her, and she was like someone that I was able to look up to on the team, like because she's just obviously incredible to watch on the ice. Just like some of the things that she pulls out, you're like, Sky, I've never even seen you do that before. How did you just pull that off? So she's super exciting to watch, obviously, and really fun to be around off the ice.
And you also get to play with Lily Jovetic. What is she like as a teammate, both on and off the ice? Because in my opinion, I feel like she was one of the most underrated players in Hockey East this past year.
She's free entertainment. I don't know. She's funny. She's half the time we're either laughing with her at her, but she knows that. And she's a really good player. Like, drills that are like one-on-one and stuff on the ice, especially like both being freshmen and stuff. It was like a good competitive between us on the ice and like a good person to go up against like in drills and stuff, and she'll like push you to get better. And then like I said, off the ice, she's funny.
Hmm.
Brianna Diamond.
Yeah, and she obviously played with the Ottawa Lady Senators in the PWHL. Did you get the chance to play against her in juniors, and how was it being teammates with her this year after playing against her the previous year?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've actually like kind of known about her for a while, like even when we were younger, just through like different like tournament teams and stuff. So I've always like known like who she is. And it's one of like a showcase when we were in like 7th or 8th grade. Like I ran into her and like she like hit her head on the ice so hard, and she like, like talked back to me, and like we kind of got into it. And then like I didn't like I didn't really know her. And then like we found out that we're both going there, so we like get in contact, and I like hope that she doesn't bring it up. Obviously we eventually talk about it, but playing against her in Ottawa was always exciting. Like I was like, we're playing each other, like, oh. And she had like been in the PW for a while, so she kind of like gave me some tips on it and stuff like that. So she definitely helped me out even before I really got the chance to like meet her, which was awesome. And playing against her and her team was really fun too.
So, what is the biggest thing I guess you learned throughout your freshman year, and how are you going to use what you learned during your freshman year heading into your sophomore year now?
Um, the biggest thing I learned is that I don't know, it's so cliche, but like anything can happen. Like, I never would have pictured myself like being hurt the whole year. I never even would have pictured like being on like a number one team the whole year, like getting as far as we did. Like obviously when I got there, I knew that was potentially going to happen, but like coming into it, like I had no idea what was about to happen, especially with COVID and stuff like that. Like there were so many things that made this year really, really difficult, but that also like taught me so much in my first year. And I feel like I have like almost a few extra years of experience when like in reality it was just like we had been through so much in one year. And so I think again, just like anything can happen, like be prepared for anything and everything. And I think that's, yeah, I guess that would be it.
Well, we're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. My first question to you is, what is your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve. So growing up with like a bunch of brothers, I would probably say whenever someone like when they're like cereal or something and you like finish it, but you put like the box back in the cupboard, or you leave enough that's not for a bowl. Like my brothers will always do that, and it makes, because I like wake up, I'm like in a rush to go somewhere, like I'm just gonna have bowls here and go, and then it's just out. Okay, or it's like milk or like orange juice or something like that. Like I don't know, something about just throw it away. It's so close. Why do that? Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. So it's something that I don't know if maybe it's a guy thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you gotta fix that. Just throw it out. I bet you your trash can is close to whatever thing that you have. Just put it in the trash can. So, yeah, no, terrible. You need to fix that.
My biggest pet peeve is just bad driving. I'm assuming your year in Boston, you got to see how Massachusetts drivers are a little bit different than the rest of the country. So whenever I'm behind someone that's going very slow or out of control, it really makes me frustrated. So that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
People who know me are gonna laugh when they hear this because I'm probably the worst driver ever. So look at, we both have each other's pet peeves. I'm a terrible, terrible driver. I've been in way too many accidents, whether that is my fault. It's definitely all my fault. But yeah, no, I'm a terrible driver. You would not want to drive anywhere near me. And it's probably not good because I'm bringing my car to Boston this year.
Hmm.
So that's going to be quite dangerous. I think I'll just like let other people
Hmm. Are
drive the car.
Yeah, no, there's just some spots in Boston you probably should avoid just because,
Yeah.
like Doro Drive, for example, that's like a spot I would avoid just because there's so much traffic there and it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to merge into that road as well.
Yeah, I will be avoiding other like very busy places. Those
Hmm.
are not safe for me.
Now, what is your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show? Um, The Blacklist. Do you know The Blacklist?
I've heard of it, never seen an episode.
Before. It's really complicated, and so I have to like rewatch it a few different times, and I think that's what keeps me invested, is that I still don't really know what's going on, but it's really good. And I just kind of like like that action part of it, and then like the crime and stuff like that is super cool. And I also like, have you seen on Netflix? It's kind of new, I think, but it's like I Think You Should Leave. It's like little bits.
Oh yeah, with
Yeah,
Tim Robinson,
Tim
right?
Robinson. Yeah, I think that show's so funny. I like already watched I watched like the second season the day it came out and like finished it in the first day. I'm like, I should have waited. I should have
Hmm.
dragged this out a little bit more. But like that's like exactly my humor. I think that's so hilarious. So that show too. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's probably like I guess The Office. I know that's probably a basic answer, but it's just a funny show and it's good to turn off your brain to.
Yeah.
So that's probably mine. But I mostly just watch sports. I really don't watch too much TV. I'm really just watching hockey or football or baseball. So um, I'm not the best TV guy to say the least.
Yeah, I don't really like in my free time. My like I'll maybe watch it like before I go to bed or something. But like in the middle of the day or stuff, like I never really like sit down and watch TV. I'm usually like doing something else. So I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest TV person either. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, definitely once in a while.
But if there was a TV show made about your life, who would you want to play yourself and why?
Um, Will Ferrell. I don't know. I think that would be funny.
Hmm.
He could just he's just so I like people that are funny, and I would want someone really funny to play me, even though that I don't. Do they have to look like me? Do they have to like?
It really doesn't matter. Just who
I
would you
just
want to
want
play
him.
yourself?
I just
Yeah.
want him to do. Yeah, I would like him to play me in a movie. That'd be funny. That'd be a good movie.
I have a similar answer. Like, I would have Pete Davidson play me in a movie,
Pete
even though we
Davidson,
look nothing
good
alike. I
one.
think the dude's hysterical. We have like the same sense of humor, so that's who I would pick if there was a movie made about my life.
Right? Maybe like Jonah Hill. That'd be funny.
Yeah, or Channing Tatum as well. Him and Jonah
Yeah,
Hill were very funny in
yeah.
the
That's
22
yep.
Jump Street
They're a good
movie. So
duo. Yeah.
one of those two would be cool as well, or DiCaprio, just because why not? That'd
I
be
mean,
cool to have him play. I could say that he played me in a movie one time. Not many people.
right.
Now, who's the funniest teammate you have at Northeastern?
Funniest teammate I have. There's a few. Um, I don't like there's some people that are like unironically like just funny. Like Molly Griffin is just so like unironically funny. Like she is like no idea that she's being funny, but she's someone that like always makes me laugh. Um and Katie Sipra is also very funny. Uh Payne Anderson. There's like we have a lot of funny people on our team actually.
I heard
Um,
Alina Mueller is very funny too.
Elliot, exactly. But I feel like most of the time, like it's also like unironic.
Hmm.
Like she is like it's more of just like her reactions and stuff like that. Like she like makes me. I sit next to her and I sit between her and Chloe, and also like their conversations and like interactions make me laugh too. So yeah, Alina's definitely very funny.
Now, besides yourself, who has the best style on the team?
On or off the ice.
Both. You have the best style on and off the ice, but who's taken second place in your opinion?
Oh my god. Alina. I
Hmm.
don't know. Her game day outfit. Sky also has really good game day outfits. She comes in. She's got like these headbands and like different patterns. I feel like so boring, but she always looks really good coming into the ring. And Alina on the ice just looks like she's like been playing pro for like 6 years. Like I don't know. She's good. Yeah, definitely those two for on and off. But Alina's also pulls out some crazy outfits too for the games.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's harder for women's hockey players, like to get ready for a game, just because for me as a men's hockey player, like all you have to wear is like a suit, and that's basically it. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to think too much, but I feel like it's hard just to think about like what you have to wear as a female.
It is. It takes up way too much of my time before a game. That's why I do it like the day before. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm wearing, so I don't have to think about this tomorrow. But then you can also tell who has the best style because whoever pulls out the good outfits, like you
Hmm.
really got to put something together.
Yeah, no, I was never the best dressed on the team. I
Yeah.
just wore a simple black suit with the black tie, nothing like too crazy. I think I pulled off a bow tie one time. That was just, I think,
Okay.
the craziest thing I ever did. But I know some guys like Zegras, like on BU, he sometimes pulls off some really nice stuff. Like he wore
Yeah.
the Scully cap one time, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. It's funny.
Now back to some hockey questions. Now, what do you think should be done to grow women's hockey, in your opinion? Obviously, the World Championships is going on right now with Alina Mueller playing in them.
Hmm.
So do you think that's like a tournament that could be bring some exposure to women's hockey?
Definitely. I mean, I watched that growing up, and actually, so where I skate, Russ, he has like a daughter, and so he's like really focused right now on like growing the girls side of the game, and there's not like a huge amount of girls, but the past couple of weeks I'll run practices or help run practices on Wednesdays with like a bunch of like young girls, and like I never had that at my age, and so like I think like even that is even happening is really awesome, especially in the area that we're in, because like I said, like I never had like girls come out and like skate with us and when I was that young, and like working with these girls like makes me like love the game like more, because I like remember being that age and like kind of not like knowing what to do and blah blah, but like if I ever saw like an older girl, I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to do that. And like it was kind of like I was talking about Patrick Kane, like you just, it makes you want to go out and try things. It's like when you see that stuff as a kid. And so I think just like any time that you can, like if you have the opportunity to go and like if you're a girl, like skate with like younger girls, and like I know that's not like available to everyone, but like a lot, I feel like a lot is being done to like start, you know, now younger with them. And like we had like a good like 10 to like 15 girls, and they were like these 2-hour sessions, and it was just like being able to watch like them that young was really awesome and cool. And I think that, like I said, just like giving back when you can to like thinking of yourself when you were that age.
Mhm.
If there's someone that, you know, be that person that like you would have wanted when you were that age. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it's also cool to see like you giving back to your community because a lot of those players are going to look up to you now just because they're from the same area you're from. Because growing up for myself, one of my favorite players was Maxim Latunov. He played for UConn. It was cool to see a player from playing at the Connecticut school. I'm having really good success at that school, and even though he might not be the most well-known player, it was definitely a player I looked up to. So I feel like that's something that some people might not consider as well.
Yeah.
Now, what advice would you give those younger players who are trying to pursue a career in Division One college hockey?
Um, you, oh, that's tough. What advice would I give? Um, I'm not good at getting advice. Let me think. I guess it's just like like you know, don't, it's, I don't, this sounds terrible, don't give up. Like I don't want to say that to someone, but like actually, because there's so many times that like I felt like I was too worried about the situation I was in instead of just like pushing myself to get better. And like at the end of the day, like you're the only person that can make you as good as you are. You like, you know what, like you're the only person that can stay consistent. You're the only person that can wake yourself up and go to practices. No one can like force you to do that. And so I think like staying consistent, like holding yourself accountable, if you like you really like love the game, like don't let yourself get burnt out, because like I felt burnt out and it's like a terrible feeling. It like separates you from the game and it sucks. But like I said, just like finding like that balance of like if everything in your life I think is really important. Like I would say like play like more than one sport, like make sure to still have that piece of like your social life and like focus on school. It's just like I felt like I was at extreme sometimes where I was like just hockey, and like I felt like I, you know, that made it work. Like as a person, like mentally that was tougher because I didn't have that like balance. So I think like, you know, that's really hard to tell like a really young girl, but like finding balance between all aspects of your life I think is important.
I think that's a good way to end things off. But do you have any shout outs you'd like to give before the interview ends to any of your teammates, family
Shoutouts.
members, friends?
um
I mentioned a couple of your teammates, but if there's someone I forgot to
yeah.
mention, feel free
No,
to
I
share.
mean, shout out to all my teammates. They're awesome, and I can't wait to be back in Boston seeing them. And we have like most of the same team from last year. That's exciting. Shout out Erin Frankel because she. Oh my gosh, Erin Frankel is the funniest person on the team. I think she's so okay. I changed my answer now. Shout out Erin, you're really funny. Um, Shout out my parents. They're cool. My brothers, I guess, they're cool too. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Annie, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it a lot. I wish you all the best for your upcoming season with Northeastern. I'm excited to see your team play in person, which will be fun. And it was an honor interviewing today, and I love watching you play for your 9 games, and I can't wait to see the things you accomplish next year with Northeastern.
Yes, hopefully you'll see more next year. Thank you so much for having me on.